What is the best way for us as Jews to combat the coronavirus?
Well, we're trying to answer the question of how to get rid of or combat the coronavirus. So like any good scientist will do, we would try to uncover the cause and the way the virus works, and through that figure out ways of combating its effects on the body, etc. And likewise, or especially us Jews, for us causes are not just in the physical world, causes come from the spiritual world. As we know, anything that's in the physical world really manifests from something very spiritual, something divine. And the physical world just plays that out in a physical way. But really, it all stems from something spiritual. So let's just quickly see what a virus is. A virus is a strand of random DNA that's lifeless, that needs a host cell in order for it to get life or energy. As it invades through the cracks in the cell, it invades and it starts infecting the cell. It takes over the cell and it starts programming its own DNA and starts producing hundreds or thousands of itself throughout the particular host cell and body, and could flood the body with this virus and could do major damage to the body. What the body does to respond is that if the body has the healthy ability to respond, the body's healthy immune system does two things. It first sends out certain signals, certain proteins through that cell to identify which cells are actually infected by the virus. And then number two, it sends out certain chemicals to destroy the virus. So a person who is suffering from a virus, hopefully within enough time, the body will be able to fight it off through its antibodies, etc., and get rid of the virus. We understand this core physical phenomenon. Let's understand this on its spiritual source. In its spiritual source, this represents the idea of klipa. Klipa, likewise, is a non-living entity. It's something that really doesn't exist. Klipa is all negativity. Klipa is all desires that are for the physical world. It's all those things that are focused strictly against doing God's will. And it has no life for itself. The only way it has life is when it infects the Jewish soul, because in there it gets its energy, and it wants to take over the Jewish person who has a soul, giving it energy, to take that energy in order to utilize the body to fulfill its desires, to fulfill its physical desires, and to disconnect from God. And if it gets into the body, it starts infecting the body with its thoughts, with its speech, with its actions, even to the point where perhaps the person begins to identify him or herself as that particular klipa, that desirable thing, as being real, that this is being their true identity. So let's take, for an example, a person who identifies themselves as not believing in God or not wanting to be religious. And that's that klipa that invades and infects and starts programming the DNA to not believe in God and not wanting to be religious. What is the response to that? The response to that is a very deep immune system that the soul has. The soul has an immune system also. This immune system is a power of tshuva. The power of tshuva really means where the person, the soul, begins to first and foremost realize that there's a problem. It identifies that they're not connected to God. They realize that there's something missing in their life. They realize that they have to stop this flood of the infected virus or klipa that's pervading their thoughts, their minds, etc. And they start highlighting it and trying to stop it from spreading. And therefore there's a fight, there's a struggle to not give in to the virus, to not give in to the temptations of the klipa. There are those that have even a higher level of an immune system, which is the ability of ishapcha, to eventually get rid of the virus, destroy the virus, make the virus non-existent, and restore the body to serve strictly God and do God's bidding and God's will, which is to bring about his revelation of himself, of godliness in this world. That's the power of tshuva. Tshuva, also in its ultimate sense, means restoring oneself back to his true identity. For the virus, the klipa, what it does is it actually starts making the person, as we said, believe in this identity that it wants it to believe in, as a non-believer, as a non-religious person, etc., or even in the small things about not keeping Shabbos so well, and so on and so forth. And they begin to identify with that particular way of thinking. Tshuva means you get back to a real deeper inner source of who you really are, the source of your true being, that's much deeper, much more removed. As we know that the Jewish person, his soul, stems from a source that's way beyond our consciousness. In the terms of Hasidus, it comes from a place of Yechida, a very, very deep inner source. in the place of Yechida, which is the power to overwhelm and override all temptations of the physical world. Even a person who's, so to speak, addicted to physical desires, the power of Yechida gets awakened and destroys that and overcomes all challenges. And therein lies the power to combat Klipa and its physical manifestations, viruses. We actually find this idea in the Torah. In the story of Korach, when Korach was fighting against Moshe Rabbeinu, we find that Aaron went to stop the plague, the Magefa, the epidemic that was taking place. He went out with Ketores. Likewise, Pinchas went and killed Zimri, and both of those actions helped stop the plague that was taking place. Now, what's the connection between those two actions? So Chassidus explains that Pinchas' action of self-sacrifice stems from this place called Yechida, this very, very deep self, this identity of self, that this is who I am and nothing, and anything that stands against God has to be annihilated. Likewise, the power of Ketores is, so to speak, this scent of something which is way beyond our consciousness. It triggers a very deep subconscious. It triggers something like a psychedelic, perhaps, that makes us aware of something much deeper within us, which is, again, this power of Yechida. So in both cases, the power of Yechida was awakened, and that was literally manifested in stopping a plague, an epidemic that was taking place. Likewise for us, if we get in tune back with our Yechida, if we return to our inner self, if we start believing in God and realizing that only God is the true king of this world, and we start living our lives on that level, so that maybe within a reasonable time would destroy all viruses. But more importantly, the way we get rid of all viruses and the ultimate klipa and everything as negative as viruses and sicknesses in general is when we activate the power of the Yechida that is unique, which is the elements of Moshiach. In the world of Moshiach, there is no viruses, because it says, I'm going to get rid of all the Tuma. Tuma is klipa, klipa is viruses. And each and every one of us has a Yechida, and in the Yechida, it has a spark of Moshiach. When we activate it, and we begin to appreciate that our purpose here in this world is to reveal the kingdom of Mashiach in this world, which is the kingdom of God in this world, which is, again, the true inner self, the true inner being of a Jew. When we activate that deep immune system, that completely destroys and gets rid of all tumah, all klipa, all viruses.